Village Millers Limited. Together, we rise.
Live from Juba, on air and online.
This is iRadio News.
Hello, good morning. This is iRadio News. First, here are the headlines. The Minister of Peace Building, Stephen Paul has told lawmakers that the 2018 revitalized peace agreement is still on track despite the challenges facing its implementation. A civil society leader has raised concern over what he describes as the government's limited effort to tackle the growing impact of climate change in South Sudan. U.S. President Donald Trump has said he is not thrilled about Israel airstrike in Qatar, adding that the international pressure after the unprecedented expansions of Israel war against Hamas. These stories and more coming to you in this news bulletin with me, Darlington Moses, and now the news in detail. The Minister of Peace Building, Stephen Paul, has told lawmakers that the 2018 revitalized peace agreement is still on track despite the challenges facing its implementation. Parr, who also serves as the interim chairperson of the SPLM-IO, made the remarks while responding to questions during a parliamentary session on Tuesday. This followed a concern raised by Member of Parliament Gail Thau, who questioned the status of the peace agreement, citing the continued house arrest of First Vice President Dr. Riek Machar. In his response, Minister Parr said the current government and its institutions, including Parliament, derive the legitimacy from the peace deal and insisted that there is no alternative to its full implementation. Also present during the session was the Minister of Cabinet Affairs, Dr. Martin Elia Lomoro, who also reiterated the view that the peace deal remains functional. He clarified that the agreement was signed between parties, not individuals, and said that the absence of a party leader does not stop the political organization from functioning. Dr. Lomoro defended the recognitions of Minister Parr as acting chairpersons of the SPLM-IO, saying the party's constitution allows for interim leadership in such situations. A civil society leader has raised concern over what he describes as the government's limited efforts to tackle the growing impact of climate change in South Sudan. Ted Manyanka Twech, Executive Director of the Center for Peace and Advocacy, is calling on national leaders to take serious steps in addressing the climate crisis, which continue to affect communities across the country. His remarks come as African leaders gather in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, for the second editions of the Africa Climate Summit, a major continental event focused on finding homegrown solutions to climate change. The summit, which brings together heads of states and government officials, aims to influence climate-related commitments and push for stronger financing strategies that meet Africa's specific needs. According to Ted Manyang, climate change is no longer a distant threat, but a daily struggle for millions in South Sudan. In recent years, large parts of South Sudan have experienced repeated flooding, displacing thousands of people and destroying farmlands. The disaster have contributed to rising flood insecurity and also worsened the humanitarian crisis, including food insecurity. This is iRadio News. The community of Nyamini in Ladopayam, Juba County, has asked for 21 more days to allow internal dialogue for peaceful land demarcations in the area. In June, the Commissioner of Juba County stopped all land demarcations in Nyamini after some members of the community said they were not involved in the process. After the suspension, the state government gave the communities 21 days to submit their concerns to the state government. On Tuesday, The community members made a request for more time during a meeting chaired by the Deputy Governor of Central Equatorial State, Paulino Lokudu Obede. According to Leon Abe Brown, the State Minister of Local Government and Law Enforcement, the meeting aimed to address the ongoing land dispute. Brown said the communities were told to follow the resolutions of the State Security, which had suspended demarcations activities and called for reconciliations among the people. He added that the state government accepted the extensions and directed the communities to meet again on 6 October 2025 to continue with the dialogue. This is iRadio News. And now in the international news, US President Donald Trump has said he is not thrilled about Israel airstrike in Qatar, adding to the international pressure after the unprecedented expansions of Israel's war against Hamas. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the strike was fully justified because it targeted senior Hamas leaders who organized the 7th October 2023 attack on Israel, which triggered the Gaza war. The Palestinian armed group has said 5 of its members were killed in an Israeli airstrike in Qatar's capital, but claimed that an attempt to assassinate its negotiating team failed. Qatar condemned the Israel attack, calling it cowardly and flagrant violations of international law. And finally, Polish armed forces say Russian drones have been downed, the first time the NATO country has directly engaged Russian assets in its airspace since the Ukraine war started in 2022. Polish and NATO aircraft were deployed, with authorities saying they began operations in Polish airspace earlier on Wednesday morning. Defense officials say that the country's Prime Minister Donald Tusk is at the scene of the operations. Tusk previously tweeted that an operation related to multiple violations of Polish airspace was underway. Poland also shut down 4 airspace as reports of the subjects first emerged. This is iRadio News, and to end this bulletin, let's have the recaps of the top stories once again. The Minister of Peace Building, Stephen Parkwall, has told lawmakers that the 2018 revitalized peace agreement is still on track despite the challenges facing its implementation. A civil society leader has raised concern over what he describes as the government's limited efforts to tackle the growing impact of climate change in the country. US President Donald Trump has said he is not thrilled about Israel's airstrike in Qatar, adding to the international pressure after the unprecedented expansions of Israel's war against Hamas. That's the end of iRadio Morning News. If there's a story or an event you'd like iRadio to cover or report about, please send us a text message on +211 25 287 870. It's also our WhatsApp number. Follow us on X, iRadio Juba, like our Facebook page, iRadio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at iRadio South Sudan. You can also visit our website and listen to us online at www.iradio.org. Stay tuned for news in Arabic at the top of the hour. I am Darlington Moses. Thanks for listening.